Hi, everyone. I want to thank you so much for joining me today for this video. This is a recording of the workshop that I recently put on, which is 3 steps toward managing your life in the midst of COVID-19. I had several people reach out to me that they weren't able to make the workshop live, and unfortunately, I did not record it at that time. So now I am doing a video to present the information to you now. So I will go ahead and do a screen share so that you can experience this as if you were there during the workshop live. So, okay, here we go. This is, like I said, 3 steps to managing your life in the midst of COVID-19. We're going to be going into a few different common issues that have been voiced to me. So the first step in this process is really getting our feelings in check. So we start doing that by identifying what it is that we're feeling. For some people, this might be easy, and for others seem to struggle with that, and that's completely okay. So I have given you a list here of common feelings that have, again, been voiced to me, and maybe it's easier for you to look over the list and pick one. And if you are feeling some sort of negative emotion right now that you don't see on this list, really being able to pinpoint what it is and put a name to it, especially as we do this process. And so we're going to start by identifying that feeling. Really pick one, and I want you to focus on that feeling as we go through the next few steps. So identify your feeling, and we're going to make room for that feeling. So I want you to do that starting by really understanding how that feeling manifests in your body. So again, for some people, this step may seem unnecessary. For others, this is our the way that our mind really triggers us to be aware that we're feeling some things that we're not dealing with. Maybe you tend to feel that feeling, that emotion in your body as a sense of tension. And so you don't even realize that you're feeling that, maybe that stress, until you go, man, my jaw really hurts. Oh, I must be stressed because I'm clenching my jaw. Or, man, my shoulders are really tense. Oh, yeah, I guess I have been kind of stressed lately. So really understanding our emotions and how they manifest in our body is important for this process. So what I would like for you to do is pick or really hold that feeling that you identified on the previous page. And I want you to take a moment, and you may want to close your eyes. Sometimes you don't have to, but really, really sit with that and see where you're feeling that feeling on your body. And sometimes it helps to repeat that feeling. Sometimes it helps to, close your eyes and repeat whatever the feeling is, fear. I'm feeling fear. This is fear. What does fear feel like for me? And really investigate where in your body are you holding that? And then really see if you can determine whether or not you are leaning away from that feeling. This is something that we subconsciously tend to do. Our primitive brain tells us that negative emotions are not safe, and it actually creates this internal fight or flight response. And so that is the reason that when we feel something negative, we kind of try to turn a blind eye to it. But I encourage you to actually do the opposite and really lean into that feeling, whatever that feeling that you've identified is, and which leads to the next thing, which is allowing it to be present and really making space for it. So these three things on this page are very interconnected, because when it comes to our emotions, they do manifest in our body in one way or another if we don't acknowledge them, process them, and make space for them. So the next thing that we're going to do is investigate why. For some people, the reason behind that emotion that you're feeling is obvious. I feel frustrated because my kids will not stop asking me for snacks. You know, that's an obvious one. But for others, especially when we're talking about strong emotions like anxiety or depression, those are not always so easy to pinpoint. And when we're talking about something as complex as depression or anxiety, the why behind it isn't always so simple, and it's not always singular. So listening to our intuition about the reason behind this particular feeling that we've chosen to work with is so important. If you are not somebody that is used to doing this kind of work, really getting in touch with your intuition and learning to listen to it and trust it is an important part of the process. So once we know the reason behind the feeling, this is the point where we determine whether or not we want to take action. Want to. For some people, it's need to. If you decide that you do not want to take action, and these situations are not always something that require action, but really just doing the process of being mindful and aware of that emotion and allowing it to be there and understanding it and nurturing it can provide us with a sense of relief. So maybe action on the emotion isn't necessary. And if that's what you decide, that is 100% okay. For other people, there is action required to deal with the emotion, or correct the emotion, or whatnot, move forward in some way. So if that is the case and that is what you decide to do, we then create a plan of action, which is really deciding what it is that we want to change or need to change, and determining the logistics to make that happen. The other thing around emotions that is of importance, especially now, is creating time to address them. If you are somebody, again, that is in the practice of being mindful of your emotions, and you're very aware when they come up, then maybe identifying and addressing them when they arise will work for you. And if that is you, then that's great. But that's not everyone. So others, it is a good idea for you to schedule a time to identify and address those feelings. And this can be done in a number of ways. Meditation is a great way to start practicing mindfulness and getting in touch with your emotions, and really creating a time for it. This is my personal favorite way. But there are other ways to do it. So it's not required. You can do it in the midst of your daily routine, whether it's getting ready in the morning, getting ready for bed at night, doing it to or from work, when you're cleaning up dinner, doing the dishes, anything that seems fairly routine to you, maybe that is your trigger to check in with yourself and your emotions and kind of mentally do this process. If you're the kind of person that has children, or an extended family that's very open to discussion, really doing this process with them and teaching your children how to do this and letting them know that it is okay to have these feelings, and really leading and showing them by example. It's such a beautiful thing to give to your children. We are going to move on to the second step in this process, which is getting your mind in the right place. And sometimes in order to do that, we address our present and as we move into the future. This seemed like the perfect place for me to put the serenity prayer, because again, for me, it's part of the process. This pandemic is something that right now nobody can change. So really accepting that you can't change it, having courage to deal with the things you can change, and the wisdom to know the difference. For me, this was like, it was perfection right here. So keeping our focus on the short term right now really can provide us with a sense of relief. And the reason being that the more long term, the further out that we look, the less likely we are to know what that looks like. And what we're doing when we do that is actually creating this sort of feeling of insecurity, whether we know it or not. And so by keeping our focus on the short term and and again, this is something that looks different for many people. Maybe the short term is the end of today. Maybe it's the end of the week. Maybe it's a month out. So really identify what short term in your comfort zone looks like. And we're going to identify any immediate changes that need to be made in the short term to make this process easier for ourselves. And the examples that I've given here are a lot of logistical things, jobs, maybe diversifying income, maybe it means filing for unemployment right now. Maybe you're one of the people that have lost their job or are not working in the midst of this pandemic. My sympathy goes out to you right now. But there are definitely things to be done around that. So just identifying those changes that need to be made in the short term can help us, and again, provide that sense of ease. It is important for us to really trust in our ability to figure this out. Really trusting that we are smart people and we are able to roll with the punches and figure our shit out. Really truly believing that deep down, again, allows us to sort of be our own comfort zone, which is something that a lot of us could really use during this time, which sort of ties in with the next thing, which is creating mental positivity. Again, I've given some examples here. For some people, affirmations, daily affirmations, work wonders. Again, by maybe putting a Post-it on your mirror or in your closet or somewhere that you see it often, and really allowing that message to penetrate your subconscious is extremely helpful for people. Inspirational podcasts and videos. This is my personal favorite. I love listening to podcasts and videos. I do it while I'm out running. This is how I let others inspire me. And again, nothing wrong with that. But I feel that connection with others, learning from others, getting information from others, it really helps to feed my soul, because that's how I work and that's how I operate. Keeping a gratitude journal is a great way to increase mental positivity. There have been studies done that show that by keeping a gratitude journal, you actually increase your happiness. And the reason behind it is because when you are doing a gratitude journal, you are setting aside time during your day at some point to really focus on the good things in your life. And studies have shown that by doing this and creating that habit, your brain starts to look for those opportunities and starts to focus on the positive rather than the negative. It's such a beautiful process. And again, there are other ways to do this. These are just some examples. Prayer might be one of them for you if you are somebody that is religious or spiritual. So really finding that that source of mental positivity that works for you is going to be of great help. The last step in this process is to get moving forward. And before we can really get moving forward and using this time to make positive progress, we need to stop binging on the Netflix. I know it is so easy to get sucked up in, let's just say, for instance, a documentary about somebody who owns tigers. Trust me, I get it. But in order for us to make that positive progress, we need to step away from that thing that is sucking us in and really, really taking away from our time to create that positive progress. And maybe instead of Netflix, maybe for some people it is social media. If you're one of those people that finds yourself scrolling and scrolling with no real purpose, or on there with no real sense of purpose, maybe that is your thing. So just being mindful of those blocks and what it is that might be tripping you up from that, using your time to make progress, again, is a huge step. Identifying the areas of your life that you want to improve. This is this might be your romantic relationship. This might be your friendships. This might be increasing your creativity. This might be financial for you. This might be health for you. I mean, there are so many different areas. You can really take this any direction that you want. So really identifying those areas of your life that you want to work on and make progress on. You can't make progress if you don't know what you want to make progress on. So identifying that and then scheduling a time to really make it happen. When in your life can you carve out that time for making progress, for, increasing your life in this way? And then setting a timeline to achieve each goal and making sure that it's realistic. And in doing this, you really need to be mindful of your time and your other obligations that are present in your life. Because what we don't want to do is set a goal that is not realistic and is really setting us up for failure. So we do this process and we can keep coming back to the question of, and that, those areas of our life that we have identified that we want to work on. So to recap, going back over, the first step in this process is really getting our feelings in check. And we do that by identifying our emotions, understanding how they manifest in our body, and allowing them to be present, understanding why, and determining whether or not we want to take action on them. Getting our mind in the right space, letting go of control and understanding that right now there are certain things that we cannot change, and really learning to accept that with a little bit of grace, and letting ourselves trust in our own abilities, keeping that focus on the short term, and creating mental positivity. All important steps for getting our mind in the right space. And then we're going to get moving forward, and we're going to identify what it is that we want to work on, and really just creating that plan to make it happen. Here is where I go into my own personal spiel about the benefits of working with a coach, and really understanding that working with somebody like a coach that can help you move through those blocks and achieve those goals at a much higher success rate, again, sets you up for success in really creating that life that you want to have. Right now, for the month of April, I am running a special on sessions and packages that is 50% off of all sessions and packages. You don't necessarily need to use them all in April, but the sessions and packages must be purchased in the month of April for you to get that 50% off discount. As always, I do a 30-minute introductory session, absolutely free. I've never taken on a coaching client where I have not done this session, and the reason being that you need to speak with me and really have a good sense of whether or not I am the right fit for you. And I also need to have that meeting with you, and again, have that same feeling, in knowing that and feeling confident that what it is that you're looking for, I can actually help you make progress in those ways. So that introductory session is of vital importance to the process. For more pricing information, you can visit my website, which is www.callymaucoaching.com. There is a tab for pricing. You can click on that and get more information on the packages that I offer. Please also look for me on social media. Please like my Facebook page. I'm also on Instagram. You can follow me there. I also created, brand new as of this week, my YouTube channel. On that channel, we are going to be doing more informational videos. My role as a coach is going to be very different than my role that you're going to see in those videos. So, but there will be great information there. Again, information that I think is of vital importance to really humanity and the way that our society is today. So please don't forget to check that out. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today, and really taking the time to listen to this information. I hope that you found it helpful in some way, and I hope that you continue to watch and continue to share with anybody that you feel could benefit from this information. Thanks again for your time.